This episode of Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Movement. You know Movement for how they've revolutionized the watch industry. Now it's time to check out their sunglasses. Movement sunglasses start at just $70 with the option to upgrade to polarized if you want. These are high quality, premium acetate frames, no cheap plastic. They have lots of styles to choose from. There's classic, trendy, round, aviator, mirrored, polarized, you name it, for him, for her. It's a great time. You're sure to find a perfect pair. Greg and I rocked ours at Kevin's bachelor party, and you better believe that Gia and I are about to rock ours in our week in Hawaii. It's going to be awesome. Go check them out and see which ones are for you. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com/kinda. That's mvmt.com/kinda. Join the movement. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 133 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Bonjour!
And joining us on this show for the first time, Ryan McCaffrey.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yay, Ryan McCaffrey's here!
We've completed the trifecta here. For the first time ever, we got the Xbox guy, the PlayStation guy, the Nintendo guy.
There you go.
This is fantastic.
We're uniting to fight PC gamers. We're uniting.
It's like the Avengers moment of
Spin the camera around us.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Very excited about this. This is going to be a very Xbox-influenced episode. The topic of the show is Xbox.
Yeah.
'Cause we got the man with the
Been covering this for a long time.
You know a lot about it.
It'll be 15 years in
Wow.
the business for me on October 1st, which is just. I think about it, I'm like, man, that long?
Yeah.
This is like my third Xbox and all the Xboxes.
Yeah, all of the
Yeah.
Xboxes.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Oh, man. This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every week, we get together to talk about video games and all the things we love about them. You can get it early by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. How early? You can watch it live along with us. Or you can watch the VOD and MP3, get them early on Fridays. Or if you just want to wait and not pay anything, that's cool too. youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. It will be there on Mondays. Now, speaking of Patreon, I want to give a shout out to my man Tom Bach, Patreon producer.
He makes it happen.
Once again, the man making things happen. And also, thank you to all the other supporters. Their names will be here, Kevin. The names will be here. We didn't do it last week because there was a mistake where we couldn't find the names.
You weren't here, Kevin. We were lost without you as always. We love you very much, Kevin. You're the glue. Kevin Coelho, the glue that holds it all together.
Anyway, thank you.
The Gluello.
Yeah. I like that a lot. So, Greg,
Yeah.
what you been playing?
I'm trying to think since last time we talked. Not as much as I'd like, obviously. Got the in-laws in town. I got the sister-in-law sleeping on the couch, so that everything's out there. So a lot of time on the old Switch, which is why I was pretty stoked when we got Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah.
Kevin Coelho clapping in there. Kevin, I have a feeling you've been playing too. Get your mic warm. You're gonna have to talk about this too.
have.
Get your little cam on there. When it got announced, or when it got leaked, I should say.
Yes.
I joined the chorus of "This looks stupid," mainly because I'm not a fan of the Rabbids. And when I say I'm not a fan of the Rabbids, I just mean based on the commercials from when they started. They always annoyed me. I never gave their mini games a shot. Ryan, I'm not gonna, what I
Great
mean?
games.
Just don't like. I wouldn't give it a shot.
Great game.
Just letting you know. Great.
Great games.
Great games.
Side note, there is a Rabbids animated show out of France. Saw it in a doctor's office once with my kid, and I was like, what is it? There's a cart, and then I'm like, it's all French credits at the end.
Sure.
So I'm like, they must have just syndicated it from French television.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Really?
It was really good.
They
One
announced
episode
that
I saw.
at E3 a couple years
Yeah, it was
ago
great.
during their press conference.
I totally haven't paid attention because when Rabbids come on, I'm out the door because I'm a Rabid racist.
Oh my
all right,
God, okay.
just against Rabbids.
Yeah, got
So
it.
I'm a racist against Rabbids, but you
Cool
can
with rabbits,
Rabbids I'm fine with.
but rabbids are no.
No,
Okay.
and just again to be clear, the only race I don't like, Rabbids.
Cool,
But
okay.
we're gonna call myself a Rabid racist. Now you
Cool.
just put that on my business cards from here on out.
You're racist to anyone. I think you still qualify as a racist.
I
So I don't know
mean-
that you want to be supporting that, but
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
rabid racist sounds pretty terrible on its own too. That
True,
was the joke,
true.
the real joke. Anyways, however, when we saw the gameplay at E3, I was like, I don't want to follow this Roomba around. That looks dumb. Oh, it's XCOM. Very interesting. Then Kevin and I went to the preview event, did a Let's Play, of course, and really enjoyed what we played. So to jump into the version here, I'm still inside the first hour because I just haven't had time to commit to playing it. But I'm in. I'm enjoying it. I want to play more of it. I'm excited. We're going to the GameStop Expo this weekend. I'm excited for the plane ride to actually have this to play.
Yeah, me too. I haven't played it all.
Yeah.
So,
It's living up
I'm going to play the events and stuff, but I haven't played the version we have now.
Brian, I mean, like, what's you've been playing it too.
Same boat. I just did the first probably 30 minutes, and then ended up going to bed a little early last night. But I was just like, yeah, I was brought to it out of just curiosity.
Sure.
What is this? I did really love Full Spectrum Warrior back in the day. I know the XCOM comparison's better. But it's
just more timely, I think. More people are familiar.
The Xbox references are starting now.
Let's go.
Full Spectrum Warrior, which was this military sim that was actually built for the Army and then turned into a game by THQ, where it's the same thing. It was literally all you're doing is moving and positioning your guys to not flank and not get flanked and killed. And yeah, it's like, how is this going to work in the Mario universe? And I am intrigued so far.
Yeah.
I like the humor, how you're going into like the rabid pipes.
Yeah.
There's enough there to have me going, I'm going to keep playing this and see where it goes.
Yeah, for me, I think the only thing in the first 30, 45 minutes I've been playing is just like, I'm still there where I'm like, I don't really want to explore the world, the Roomba thing. And it's like opening up new areas, you have to get shot. Have you started it?
No, I mean, I've only done the Let's Plays.
So you're doing the open or the overworld stuff of going through, finding the Roomba, finding the next battle. They're still teaching you the enemy, so I know it's very tutorial. It's world 1, dash whatever I'm on. But like, I'm just like, okay, let's get. I want to fight more, but I also don't know if that's just because I played so much. Kevin, are you in the same boat as somebody who we did the preview event and has seen some stuff?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm like, it's you're going through the little tutorials and you're just like, oh, all right, yeah, we get it. I understand the system. I played a little bit.
But here's my thing. Do you think we're doing that, Kevin, because we've played a little bit already? If you
no, yeah.
Are you annoyed at all by like, I just want to just let me go, let me battle?
No, because I know I'm gonna need to learn it.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So I appreciate. I know there are gonna be layers to this thing. So I'm on board with it for now. But there's always that tough to define line of if a tutorial drags on too long.
Yeah.
It just gets annoying. But I'm still in a happy place.
I think it's just the number one that I like XCOM, so I kind of already have a grasp of the mechanics. Number two, I already went to the preview event, and that's always the downside of this job. That you play a game, you get to play 3 hours of this game. Great, that's 3 hours I have to repeat. Yeah. The highest praise I can give it is I really can't wait to get to this flight, to have committed time of just playing it and having put my headphones on, sit down and play, and not be distracted by having to run around and take care of these French-speaking people.
The biggest issue I had with when I played the game was the more exploration shit where you got from in between levels where you get into the actual battles. Is that as annoying as it seemed to me?
I mean, again, I'm just like, I think it's because I know I have limited amounts of time to play every day where I'm like, all right, I want to go into the battles and get into the systems and do all that stuff. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it's first blush, I'm like, all right, let's go. But I think when we actually get in there and you actually go, it's going to be fine. Because it is actually interesting you fight, you run. The problem I think with the overworld right now is that it's too simple. Yeah. It is. All right, wander around. All right, you stepped on this. You went through this pipe and you came on this other end. You stepped on this switch. Open the gate over there. So go back through the pipe and come back over and backtrack back to there to go and hit that button. It's like, all right, well, I just want to go.
I mean, it's a hell of a design challenge, right? Because you got to think it's people that are used to playing Mario, all ages, all stripes, and you got to lure them in and teach them and hold their hand through a turn-based strategy game.
Yeah.
Not an easy proposition for a game designer, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm into it.
Are the rabbits getting in your way?
No, actually, that's the thing. It's like, like when we were playing co-op, Kevin and I, they all have different classes where like Luigi's a sniper and then there's the Mario rabbit is a tank. And it was like, oh, that's interesting to get into. But then in the cutscenes, it was like, okay, cool. They're getting sucked in. How does this all happen? This vortex pulls everybody together and does. All right, and I'm watching them. They're not being annoying. They are being funny. Them interacting with Peach for the first time. I was like, oh, that's pretty cute. That's fun.
Kev, you think you're gonna sink a lot of time into this game?
Yeah, I'm playing it right now. So
Right now.
yeah.
Hold up your Switch.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, I think I'm really gonna enjoy it. Right now, I'm only an hour in. I started today, this morning. I started playing. And like, I'm not a fan of walking around trying to open up the.
But I think it's gonna get better.
I hope so.
Check in for Gamescast next week, and we'll see.
I will.
Well, no, you'll be here. I'm talking to the viewer, not you. I don't want to make it sound like we're pooping all over.
We sound pretty down on it right now, but we're
not.
just talking
No,
about
that's
talking about the battle mechanics. Are you having a blast?
Oh my god,
part
yeah, totally. I mean, again, it's the same thing. All right, I've done this battle before. I want to do this, but it is the same thing of I love this kind of gameplay, and I think it's something about it, whether it is the Mario Rabbids, I think it's starting you off holding your hand more than I think XCOM did. Because even in XCOM, you die right away. Yeah, exactly. And so like I'm enjoying that more than, the deep end that XCOM always was.
Do you guys see this game reviewing really well? Or
I think
just pretty good?
My hunch, my spidey sense tells me it's going to be across the board. you're gonna get sort of the XCOM background people that are either gonna, I think some of them even will super love it because they're like, oh, it's a Mario game that's got XCOM stuff in it. And then you'll probably get other diehard PC XCOM guys that are like, oh, it's kind of a dumb, if it turns out that way. I don't know how hardcore the game's gonna get, but I think it's just gonna run the gamut on this one.
Interesting.
I think, you're going to see, I think you're going to be right around, for most people, 7.5 to 8. I think that'll be the range of where people are. And I think that goes in front of 8, obviously. I guess median, I'm saying, would be an 8, somewhere in there when you actually break it down to scores and things like that. That's what I would think. Based on what we played at the preview event when we did co-op, and then when we got to try harder levels, when it does get like, dudes are coming at you with shields and stuff, and Kevin and I just got the floor wiped with us.
I mean, sink or swim, I just appreciate that this game exists.
100%.
Like, there's no basis. Most publishers, like, I have to think, Microsoft and Sony never would have allowed, like, there'd never be a Halo Rabbids, Master Chief plus Rabbids. That's not happening. There'd never be an Ellie,
Nathan Drake.
Ellie or Drake
Yeah.
meets Rabbids. It's not happening.
Yeah.
So kudos to Nintendo and Ubisoft for, just embracing it. And
Yeah, and taking it into somewhere where it isn't just, all right, cool. Like, it isn't, like, remember when it originally got announced, it was like, why isn't it Rayman? Why isn't it a Rayman Mario platformer? And like, well, because it's not a platformer at all. It's these guys who don't exist, and neither of them use this genre ever, and we're going to put them into it and do something actually cool and different and fun and bring this genre to people that, did you ever care about XCOM? Like, I did, but it was like, even when I first started caring about XCOM, when somebody grabbed me, I think it was Jake Solomon, was like, you got to play it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, right, this is cool, but somebody needed to drag me to it. It wasn't like everybody loves XCOM.
And go figure that the XCOM expansion and Mario plus Rabbids are both out on the same day.
Same day.
What are the odds?
Man. Wow. You been playing anything else, or is that it?
No, I mean, we did Uncharted, but I mean, we've talked the year off about that
yeah.
now that we get that embargo up. Yeah,
because for me, it was just Uncharted and then way more Sonic Mania. I'm on my third full playthrough. I love that game so
you're saying you're a big Sonic Mania fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I am a maniac, as they're called.
That's terrible.
In the biz.
The
Ryan,
Sonic cycle is broken.
It is broken.
It's broken.
It's broken. Let's rejoice. Have you played it at all?
Only at a couple of preview events, and man, it felt good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good. What have you been playing?
Besides just getting warmed up with Mario and Rabbids, kind of been laying a little low mostly because
What is this?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of waiting. Oh snap!
They shipped it to my house by mistake.
Statue, but I reviewed Telltale Batman Season 2 Episode 1.
Ooh.
Really enjoyed this first season.
Yeah.
I love the paradigm flipping that went on, and that they keep right on rolling with that so far in the first episode of Season 2.
I was really, really happy with season 1. I loved, and then Season 2, or it's the start of Season 2. I think is great.
Yeah, and it is clear there are going to be more horrible permanent consequences to like very important people in the Batman universe, and I love that.
Yeah,
and I also love that it's an R-rated, or I guess in this case it's a game M-rated Batman, because we just don't get that.
Yeah,
you don't see death and killing and blood like this.
And not that Batman needs that to be great. I mean, look no further than the animated series, but it's nice to see a real dark take that's not afraid to pull any punches or gouge out any eyeballs or anything like that.
And that's the thing. What I love the most about it is the fact that it really is Telltale and DC embracing, this is your own universe. Do whatever. Yeah. You meet like Season 1 was great about that, where you met people and then I know who you are and who to trust and why to do this, and then have them flip that on that head and be like, you didn't know this person the way you thought you did.
Yeah.
And so now as they introduce people in this one, it is the whole thing of like, and this isn't a spoiler, but Amanda Waller pops up in the game, right?
Yes.
And it is that thing of like, my knee-jerk reaction is she's going to be a horrible person. I shouldn't trust her. And then it's like, but is she? Like, I mean, like she's, not, it doesn't appear she's doing the same thing she's always done before. She kind of is, but maybe she isn't, but I think she might. And like, I am guessing as a DC fan playing through it, right? And like,
yeah, I mean, what I liked most about, I mean, this is kind of also a criticism, but I actually mean it as a compliment. The first episode is called Enigma, because it's about the Riddler.
Yeah.
And the Riddler is the least interesting character in the episode, which I guess, it's kind of a backhanded thing there. Like, he's not terrible, but it's the fact that all the other peripheral characters in episode 1 of the second season are so interesting that's what keeps the episode going. And this was a longer episode. This was a good 2, maybe even like 2 hour, 20
Exactly.
minute.
Yeah, more
which is
than 2
longer by
hours.
Telltale standards these days. So yeah, looking forward to keeping that rolling. And then
that's why I'm so excited. They already announced, a September release date for the
Yes.
episode 2. Like they have a pipeline gone. They're teasing Harley Quinn. It's like, all right, cool.
yeah, I'd sworn off playing Telltale games until they're
Episodically.
totally out, but
Batman got you.
Dan Stapleton needed a reviewer, and it's just like, all right, I'll do it. Even though, because I ended up binging season 1, and I played 1 episode a night for 5 nights, and I had a great time doing it that way. So hopefully Telltale will not burn me on this one and leave me hanging for 2 months like they did with Tales from the Borderlands. That was the deal breaker. I was like, forget it. I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Now here I am. But I guess it's a job hazard. I can't really complain.
Yeah,
It's
this one
like,
you got to serve your country.
"Wah, I got to play it for my job. Wah."
Now it is time for This Week in Gaming History. Now, here's the thing, Greg,
Yeah.
that I didn't expect to happen.
Sure.
But when we started doing this segment, it was, I don't know, what, July, maybe?
Sure.
Or late June?
Yeah.
And not too many games come out during those months. Now that we're in August, there's a shit ton.
A lot of things have
A
happened.
lot
in
of
history.
things happen.
A
I
lot of
think it's
history
just,
have been
as
made.
we get into November, there's just going to be even more.
Sure.
But you know what? We'll just talk about more then.
Sure. Okay.
People like it.
I mean,
so
you
we're doing
can.
it.
You can. This is what people are worried about. What's going to happen next year when you have to do it. You can just start parsing.
Yeah, but I'm
No,
not,
that's not the Tim
too
Gettys
much.
way. Tim
I
wants to
need
give it
then-
all to you. You
Then
don't do it.
I need to then think about what did I do last year. I don't know. That's
I hope you got
too
that
much.
BioShock 10th
Of
anniversary
course
on
I
your
do.
list.
Of course, it's on the list. 1 year ago, on August 23rd, 2016, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided came out on Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. And 6 years ago, on August 23rd, 2011.
Wait, that would have been PS4.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This gen.
I'm messing
Yeah,
this
one-
up because I'm getting ahead of myself here. Both Deus Ex games came out on the same day.
Really?
Oh, really? I
5
didn't know
years
that.
apart.
Interesting.
Yeah, on August 23rd, 2011, and then 2016. So yeah,
Okay.
the first one, Human Revolution on Xbox 360, PS3, PC.
Yes.
Then the next one on PS4 and
And Nick
Xbox One.
Scarpino rejoiced both times.
Yeah, both times.
So happy.
Yeah. Were you a big Deus Ex guy?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the original, the Warren Spector original, is probably a top 5 all-time game for me. And then Invisible War, not as great, although I think better than than history has given it credit for. And then, I mean, what are the odds that Deus Ex could get rebooted and turn out well?
Yeah.
But Human Revolution was excellent. It really got to the core of what made Deus Ex good. And
A lot of choices, a lot of
Yeah.
customization. Be
And-
your own guy.
right, and Mankind Divided, totally worthy sequel. And it's a shame that it seemingly didn't do so well, and we're probably not going to see it for a while because word on the street is those guys are on the Marvel, the Avengers game.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
5 years ago, on August 22nd, 2012, Counter-Strike Global Offensive came out on Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. And this is a weird one because, I don't know your full history, but when it comes to us, we're definite console guys. Counter-Strike never been the huge hit on the consoles. Good enough. There
Yep.
was the Xbox port that totally
Yep.
changed Alfredo's life and got him into to all that stuff. But like Counter-Strike 1.6 on PC and even when Source came out, those were huge games. But Global Offensive, to me, I would say, it came and went. But then you still see it, one of the top selling games every month and one of the most played games every month. And the esports community for it is absolutely as big, if not bigger, than it's ever been.
Some of the longest legs you'll ever see on a game.
And it's the same game,
Yeah.
just again
Still
with
going.
different graphics. But man, good for you.
You just taught me.
Global
I was like, I've never heard anybody. I only hear them talk about Counter-Strike Go.
Oh, there you go. Though.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. I just
Global
put it
Offensive,
together.
Counter-Strike.
The amount of times
CS:GO.
I've had to listen to Sean Finnegan fucking talk about CS:GO, I just always thought it was Counter-Strike Go, and I was like, all right, you dork, get out of here.
It's like Pokemon Go.
It's not a Square Enix Montreal game.
Yeah.
Greg. I know you'd have a good reason to think that.
Then we got 8 years ago, which seems like forever.
Although I would love to see
It
their
would-
version.
it would work out
of a
pretty well, right?
Counter-Strike. I would love to see that.
On 8 years ago, on August 25th, 2009, Batman Arkham Asylum came out on PS3 and Xbox
There you go.
360,
There you
changing
go.
the game for what we thought of licensed games.
Yeah, and now will everybody just fucking listen and do the same thing? I'm
do
so
it again.
sad the fact that people
Finally,
don't do
someone
that.
else.
Batman finally got his video game due
Right.
after so,
So
many
many
years.
bad ones. All the Sunsoft games and everything else. But
Now
yeah,
Spider-Man, we'll see.
yeah,
This
yeah.
could
But I
be
mean,
the next one.
it's so weird to look at the timeline of that because I'll never forget leaving the IGN demo room when Rocksteady came through to show that the first time. And it was me and Anthony Gallegos, and he was seeing it for GameSpy. And we walked out, and he was just like, That was something that looked cool, right? And I'm like, I don't know, because they showed us
yourself.
they showed us the invisible predator thing where you're going around taking guys out, and then jump you to here's how our free flow combat works, and you're like, how the fuck do these things match up at all? Because it's you doing crazy stuff and then you doing that. Like, well, what is the balance of that? How is that actually going to be? And when it finally hit and it was awesome, and then Arkham City came out and it was awesome. It was that thing of, man, like this is changing licensed games. Now everyone's gonna see how to do this, and it's taken everyone so long to see Marvel finally doing get their games back and go to Spider-Man.
But I just want to point out that the same year that Arkham Asylum came out, Transformers War for Cybertron came out, and that game was way better than it had any right to be. Like, it was on the level of this just for Transformers and not for Batman. And then the sequel was just as good too with Fall of Cybertron. But those are two licensed things that then they nailed it there, and then it just kind of fell flat after that.
They got Activisioned.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
High Moon. Then here we go. 10 years ago on August 21st, 2007, BioShock came out on Xbox 360 and PC. They just announced that Fantasy Collector's Edition.
Yep. You 10-year anniversary, you get that. You get BioShock
statue.
2, you get Infinite, you get the statue.
There's a party at PAX brought to you by IGN. There's a little plug there.
Very nice. Do you have fond memories, Tim, of BioShock? Did you ever play that?
I have late memories. I didn't have a 360, and it didn't come out on PS3 for a couple of years.
Yeah, one or 2 years. I don't
Yeah.
remember which.
And I played it on PS3 after, and it's a very interesting game to have played after the hype. So I already knew it was amazing. Everyone had talked about it being this amazing thing.
Though, did you?
Did not get it spoiled.
Good.
I managed to do that, but without having those people to talk about it right then, it was a different experience for me, and I loved it. But I feel like I didn't get that magic sense of watching Game of Thrones when everyone else is watching Game of Thrones, it's like there's an extra level of like just perfection that comes when there's the discussion to be had, and no one wanted to talk to me about it after I beat it. So
see, even I was late to it too, because I remember I played it in October. Like, it was, so I had held off a while as well to actually get to it based on 10 years. So by the time I got to it, it wasn't spoiled for me, but it was already people saying, this is an amazing game. And you played it and it was like, oh, this was great. And then I reflect on it years and months, or weeks and months and everything else.
I mean, my thing is, it is such a special game that thinking back on it, I'm like, I can't believe it happened. Like the amount of thought put into that game from a, like, not even just storytelling perspective, but just production standpoint. And it reminds me a lot of Metroid Prime. I love it when things work
when
out
it
like
actually
that.
lines up.
But yeah, it reminds me of where it's just the atmosphere tells such a good story. But I feel like BioShock went the extra mile where the gameplay was fun and the story was actually really, really, really good.
Yeah, Ken Levine had always been super respected, but that was probably the. I don't think there's any argument that was the game that really sort of sent him into the
100%.
into
He
the
became
stratosphere.
a household name for video games.
Irrational, they'd done, of course, System Shock 2, which is another one of my probably top 10 all-time favorite games. They did, what the heck was the name of it? The superhero-y thing.
Who?
Irrational.
They did the superhero thing?
Yeah. Not Freedom. Freedom Fighters was the IO thing. Oh, I'm gonna kill myself for not remembering the name. But then
Kevin, Google that.
SWAT 4.
Yeah.
Which was
Irrational Games.
Which was a first-person Unreal Engine, kind of like almost a precursor to like Rainbow Six Siege. It was that sort of similar, kind of super tactical, realistic thing. So that was great. Yeah, Ken had always done great stuff, but that was for sure the game.
Here we go.
That put him up. That was what I say. Yeah, Freedom Force. Now I'm not sure what the hell there was an IO Interactive game too called. Oh, maybe that was Freedom Fighters.
There you go.
That's
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. BioShock.
Good studio.
Amazing.
BioShock took it to the next level.
Yeah.
14 years ago, on August 26, 2003, F-Zero GX came out on GameCube. The last amazing F-Zero game. And the best F-Zero game, I think, by a long shot. You guys play it at all?
I actually didn't. I had a GameCube, but no.
You missed out, man.
No, I'm OG F-Zero on Super NES.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're going to need to talk about this. Did you just call it the Super NES?
He did. He did say that.
Whatever.
You've walked
We're
there.
live on
No,
the air.
there's been an argument all week.
I know.
about
I was
okay.
siding with you, but I'm off.
I meant just. We just had a conversation about no one calling it the NES, so you
Right.
wouldn't call it the SNES. But then you called it the Super NES, which is combining acronym or just saying it. I appreciate that. It's a whole other level of fuck you.
it's a new
to
ball game.
everybody.
It's a
I'm
new
going
ball
from
game.
now on, Super NES. Deal with it. But no, F-Zero was, and we were just F-Zero's SNES version that came out at the launch. We talked about, I think, last week, and it blew my mind to remember that game didn't have multiplayer.
Wow, I would never even have thought that. I
Yeah.
would have assumed in my head that it did.
So that's crazy. But F-Zero GX was so fun, and like F-Zero is about going fast, and it looked and felt so fast on the GameCube, and it was amazing. The story mode was hard as fuck. It is one of the games that I want most on Virtual Console on the Switch. I would love for that to happen. I really hope that it does, because F-Zero probably doesn't have much hope otherwise. Greg, I remember walking into EB. I pre-ordered this, and I remember counting down the days to get it.
Sure.
That and Soul Calibur 2 came out very
With
close
Link
in
in it.
time. With Link,
Yes.
yeah. God, that was amazing. And then also on GameCube, 15 years ago on August 25th, 2001, Super Mario Sunshine came out on GameCube.
Stop.
Mario Sunshine is an amazing game.
Yes,
it's
it
just
is.
not
It's
Mario
amazing.
64. It is amazing. It is a 9 out of 10. It's just
Same
not
old
a
stuff
10 out of 10.
over and over and over again. That's what it is.
Same fun
Stop.
stuff, though.
No.
Fun stuff.
Flood. What is
the
this?
worst
Get outta
thing
here.
about Mario Sunshine is, these are a couple things, but the lack of amount of levels,
Yep.
the level design in one level with the pachinko machine, because that's horrible with the camera, and the blue coins. That was padding in the game for sure. Otherwise, that game's fan.
What I love most about Sunshine was it actually just felt summery to me, just between the music
That's true.
and the
That's
and
true.
the and the art direction and the it was such a it just put a smile on my face. It was just an enjoyable, fun thing where it just felt like a vacation. That game, I love it so much. That's what I would love to see that brought
Yeah.
back for VC on this. I'll pay good money for that.
Yep.
It'd be interesting because I just haven't played it since launch.
Yeah,
And I just remember being
playing it with twin
underwhelmed.
sticks now would be
Oh my
nice.
God,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
Pro controller.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Give me that. Let's make it happen.
They
make
won't
it
do it. They won't do it.
Going back a little further,
Wait for that
17.
GameCube classic.
Exactly. Where is any of this virtual console?
It's such a weird thing. Where is it? 17 years ago on August 23rd, 2000, Power Stone 2 came out on Dreamcast. You guys play that?
No.
No, not a Dreamcast guy.
I wasn't a
burned.
Dreamcast guy either, but I played in arcade all the time because at the round table near my house they had that, and we would go and just every weekend just play.
Yeah.
My dude Jack would run around the ground. It's fucking awesome. I wish that there was more games that would mimic the style of Power Stone. It's like it's this same thing with Smash Bros. Where I'm like, why aren't there more Smash Bros. Clones? Like, and we always have a PlayStation Battle Royale where it's like it was.
We'll go
close,
95%
but it
of
was
the
like,
way,
why
but not that
didn't
final
you,
five.
You should have copied more, and you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
And there's a bunch of indie games out.
Brawlhalla, people
there's
like,
Brawlhalla, and then there's a couple other ones. Let us know in the comments. You know what I'm talking about. That are the more indie sided things. But it's just like with Power Stone, that it's essentially Smash Brothers, but in 3D. So you're just like running around in these little arenas, and it was just so much fun to play, so satisfying, and it's definitely a one more match type of multiplayer game, and in that era, that defined that whole thing. Going back way farther, 20 years ago, on August 25th, 1997, GoldenEye 007
Wow.
came out on N64.
Game changer right there.
The game changer. The first-person shooter that mattered on consoles.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think
It
that's-
definitely legitimized it.
Yeah,
I mean,
and especially in a multiplayer way.
Oh, yeah.
Like that 4-player experience on that, like, come on.
Were you not too young for that?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have it, but my cousin did, and then it just turned into, okay, we're playing at my cousin's house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of. I eventually got it, but yeah, I didn't own it until a couple years later.
Sure.
But at that point, like video games, you didn't need to own them. When I was 8 years old, as long as you had friends that had them.
Well, that was the best part about GoldenEye, right? And I mean, that was the best part about the NES for me personally. Is that I mean, I'd always been the video game person in our group of friends. My other friends liked video games, but you know, like Poe, who I always talk about, he didn't own a console till PS2, and that was after I had a PS2 for quite a while. And so to go to high school, find another group of people who liked video games, like I liked video games, and then like to go to their house for the first time and play GoldenEye there and have it that then became every fucking weekend, Mike's mom picks us up from school. We go back to his house. We all go to Sir Nick's Pizza. We come back and play till 3 a.m, wake up and do it at Saturday, and then do it all of Sunday till you go home.
Yeah. It's so funny that the game just does not hold up now at all when you're playing on an N64 controller. Like, just our brains are so wired now to have the dual sticks.
Sure.
That, man, having to hit R to aim and move, it's like, oh, what a disaster.
97, I was already... We'd done Doom. I was on the Quake at that point because I actually missed the 64 entirely because I had I ran the gamut of consoles when I was a kid. Never had more than one at a time. Mom always said, we were not, we were as middle class as it got. So had my NES to start with, had to trade that and all the games in to get the next thing, and eventually worked my way. The last console that I had before a long drought. And it was Doom. Doom was the game where it was just like, oh, Mom and Dad, we need a computer.
Yeah.
This is it. I had a Jaguar. That was my last console.
Wow.
That was for about 5
bang.
minutes. Yeah. But yeah, man. So I missed GoldenEye entirely. Like I respect its legacy and its history.
Sure.
But yeah, like I would be, if I sat down to play it, I would not have any appreciation for it. Like, I'd just be like, oh, what the hell?
It's totally that thing where we all think so fondly on it, and like I have so many memories of that. And to go back and whenever you try to pick it up, it's just like, wait, I'm moving with the D-pad and like just moving the stick here. Isn't that how it is? Because it's a broken ass system. I remember when you actually pick it up.
You don't move with the D-pad. But
you move with the stick, but how you aim with? I remember being totally. When I went back, I'm like, oh yeah, and I was like, this is totally
the
foreign.
Functionality of it is moving the stick. Up or down is the equivalent to your left stick up or down.
Okay.
But moving it left or right is the equivalent to your right stick left or right.
Yeah. And then strafing is
when you hold R
and
do it.
Okay. And
aiming, you then also hold R to do the other.
And do you strafe with the C buttons?
Yes.
Rare worked with the tools they had.
Totally. Yeah. And that was the thing. I mean, like I'm not insulting it.
And then a little known thing about GoldenEye.
Plug the second one in.
Plug 2 in and you could play. Like we think of.
You think of, yeah,
shooters.
exactly.
So that is very cool.
Guarantee that was a dev trick where they were like, God damn it. Oh, I know what I can do. And then they just shipped it.
Yeah.
27 years ago on August 24th, 1990, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker came out on the Sega Genesis.
Hell yeah.
Did you own this game, Greg?
I did own Moonwalker. Yeah.
Man. What a game.
Yeah, exactly. What a game for sure.
One of the few Sega Genesis games my friend had. He had the Sonic games and he had Moonwalker. And I remember playing it and just being like,
what is going on?
What is going on? Is Michael Jackson going around saving these little girls that every time you get them, it'd be the same like shitty voice sound, like MIDI sound, Michael. And it's like, this is inappropriate now. Everything about this is wrong. But the game's funny because we beat it. Like I remember it was one of those things where we spent a weekend and we're like taking turns controller back and forth. And the first level is Smooth Criminal, and it's based off the music video. The song's playing, like a shitty version of the song.
A MIDI version, right?
Yeah. And you play and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Then the next level, I think, was Beat It. And you go through that music video. Then it turns to Thriller, where you defeat the bad guys by making the zombies dance with you, and then they just explode. But then I remember there's a point in the game where they stop basing it off the music videos. I think it's around the Billie Jean level where then all of a sudden there'd just be like monsters and zombies and like army men coming at you. And it's like
the Michael Jackson extended universe.
You're in a cave. And I'm just like, why did they copy the music videos for so much of this and then just turn it into like, fuck it, it's a video game?
They need more levels.
And then
nobody's supposed to get that far, Tim.
Like towards the end.
All I remember is being in the pool hall with
That's the first level. Smooth Criminal.
Yeah.
Based off the video. But then towards the end of the game, there's a point where a shooting star comes down and hits Michael, and he turns into a robot.
Kids love robots.
The final boss is a robot. And it's just like, God bless you, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Because that's all video games could be.
Yeah.
That's all they could be at that time. Tie you in to remind you of Michael Jackson music videos and then whatever.
His monkey, what was his name?
Bubbles. Bubbles the chimp, yeah.
He would join you for some levels?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean, everybody loves the chimp.
Oh my good Lord. And also there's a bunch of Sonic sound effects in it. Like the
Save
whole
money
game,
where you can.
It starts off with him flicking a coin into the jukebox to start the music, which is kind of cool. But it's the ring sound from Sonic. It's so weird.
It's a callback. See, now you say that now, but you fucking are
Wasn't there an urban legend that was proven true that like he did the soundtrack for Sonic 3 or
He
something.
composed 3 songs in Sonic 3.
Thank you. Okay.
And they weren't finished, but then he laid out the groundwork for it. And when you listen, the Sonic soundtrack's always been amazing, but it's like, oh no, this is Michael Jackson, which is really fucking weird. And that's the reason Sonic 3 has so many licensing issues, and that's why 1 and 2 are ported so much, and 3 is always left out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then finally, 30 years ago, on August 22nd, 1987, The Legend of Zelda came out on the NES. 30 years. You an old man, Link.
That gold cartridge.
Oh, it's beautiful. So beautiful. And now it's time for the topic of the show, which is the state of Xbox.
Sure.
I feel like we've been talking so much shit recently.
Not shit.
Just, critical.
That's a better way to put it, I would think. Yeah, Kind of Funny Games Daily, I feel the last 2 weeks has been dominated by, it started with, it would be an episode with you and me, and we were talking about this, and that, this and the other, and we started talking about Xbox One X pre-orders getting ready to go,
Yep.
and it was that thing of like, are you excited for it, audience? Because like we're, very vocal about it. We're in PlayStation and Nintendo camps, and that's what our ecosystems are. Not that we're fanboys, right? And so like, what about you? And then the Gamescom stuff happens, and the Gamescom stuff, like the real assholes about it want to be like, it's reheated E3 stuff, and it's like, well, there's other things there. Where does everybody? And so like, it's been a constant stream of this is why I am getting a pre-order, this is why I'm not getting a pre-order. And like today we did one again where it was like, this guy wrote in with a very long letter of like, here's why I'm in the Xbox camp and continue to be. And last week there had been one of like, I believe in the message Phil's pitching, like of like what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And Andrea and I, on our episode as well, like there was a whole bunch of stuff about it, and we got into it too. So we wanted to bring you on to kind of get a much more educated version of your perspective as an Xbox fan. There are a ton of questions we got from fans. So I'm going to start off with the one that you're talking about from today. This is from I Am the Walrus. He says, hey guys, just wanted to write in as a Xbox guy and a guy who follows the news more these days than has time to play games. Listening to the show yesterday and over the last few weeks, there's been all this talk of lack of exclusives for the Xbox and how Microsoft is failing too far behind this generation. I have a 3-part question. 1, isn't someone always going to be second? There's no way around that. Microsoft seems happy with their business model, so isn't that okay? Why is being number 1 all that matters? 2, I for one love what they've been doing and don't have, sorry, this is like the words are a little weird here. I love what they've been doing and don't have time to play everything anyways. All the player first and quality of life things they've been doing is what keeps me coming back. There will always be games to play. Isn't that a good enough reason to be brand loyal? 3, what are you trying to say here?
Talk to me. What do you mean, Walrus?
As far as the Xbox One X goes, everyone talks about this as not for them, or I don't get who it's for, or I will wait for the Xbox 2. If that came out as said, this is the future, everything from now on is truly the phone model. Everything is always go to the compatibility until games are too big to run. I really should have copied to check this first. And every couple years, you get something a little different. What does that conversation sound like on your show, and how different would you feel about it than you do now? Thanks. Have a great day.
So Ryan, you put up a great op-ed the other day on IGN that I've been talking a lot about on the Games Daily show about this, and the fact of what you would do if you were to come in and run Xbox right now. No strings attached.
It was a fantasy scenario.
Exactly. What for you right now is the state of Xbox?
I mean, I think that there's some great points from Sir Walrus in there, and that is, you do go back. Microsoft is making plenty of money. They're second place, but they're actually, relative to the 360, they're doing great. It's just so happens that their competitor is effectively historically great right now, which makes it look worse. We also, if you rewind 11 years to the 360 PS3 generation, social media is nowhere near, it basically doesn't exist. So now every little thing is amplified and hot taken, and so there's always, everybody's got to have their 2 cents. So bearing all that in mind, Xbox is doing fine. The thing I think that is that they have trouble with is they're still always not quite clear enough about what is the direction, where are they going, what are their goals, right? Is their goal to be a just user-friendly box that plays third-party games well and all right, we'll get our first party game, our Halo and our Gears and our Forza, and we're fine with that. Or are they striving for more than that, and they're just in a rough patch right now? And I think the truth's probably somewhere in between. Like, I'm sure they're not. I don't think Phil Spencer is sitting there in meetings with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, going, oh, man, we're in second. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know how to catch up. It's like, no, they're looking at their books going, Xbox business is in pretty good shape. This is great. But at the same time, Phil, I think I referenced this in my op-ed. Phil said when he first took over as head of Xbox, like I asked him point blank on the phone, and it made it into the article, do you want to win? Do you want to beat Sony? And it's like, yeah, our goal is to beat, which, I mean, I guess he kind of has to say that. Maybe I'm taking him a little too literally, but it is a business. And I guess what the long term of it is the mind share. Like Sony has all the mind share right now. Not to speak ill of Xbox, but when you think of where am I playing Call of Duty, where am I playing Destiny, where am I playing exclusive games that I can't get anywhere else, you're thinking of PS4. And Sony has totally earned that. I do think, a lot of people are like, oh, well, how come Sony doesn't get any shit for, like when they had no first party output at the beginning of the generation? I actually agree with that. I think Sony didn't catch enough shit for their first party output early in the generation. Their games were either bad or they
delayed.
Just had nothing.
I mean, that's a great point, because it was the fact that we got up to those first 2 or 3 holidays, right? And it was like, holy shit, that the order's been pushed. Oh my God, this got pushed. They have no holiday game. They have no holiday game. But then the story became, oh my God, they don't need one. Oh my God, what a business strategy they have. They're relying on third parties and then putting their stuff out.
And that's true. Like when Xbox was doing these marketing deals with Call of Duty and with other games last generation, but this generation, Sony's been the one that's been more aggressive to say, hey, I'm going to go out and do this. And Phil has said, I'm not interested in that. I mean, maybe it should be. I don't know what the financials are. I presume, for all I know, it's not financially viable or financially smart for Sony to make those marketing deals, but maybe they just figure the trade-off in mind share that they gain is worth it.
Yeah.
I don't have access to their books, and people say, Sony had a huge first-party drought at the beginning of this generation. Why is Xbox catching all the shit for it now? And it's number one is because yes, they had the DLC, they had the content, they had the alignment with those major first-party franchises. That does help. That does matter, especially for the casual buyer who's coming in the start of a new generation. Oh, which one should I buy? Oh, all the Destiny DLC is over on PlayStation. Maybe I should go over there. But then the other part of it is Sony didn't catch as much shit then as Microsoft is now, because we're 4 years into the generation. It's one thing to have a slow start to your first party output at the beginning of a generation when you're ramping up all your studios on new tech. To have it happen 4 years in when you should be firing on all cylinders, your fans that paid, in a lot of cases, $500 for your day one console, that's frustrating as hell. Like, where the hell are the games where are the IPs? Forza's great every year. We got Halo Wars 2, which was a solid game, but where is everything?
Well, it's crazy.
So,
I mean, to your point and what you're saying, right? It's the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't agree, is that we're still seeing the ripples of the original idea of what Xbox One was going to be, the Matrix years, right?
Yes.
Where it's going to be the entertainment box, it's going to be Kinect, it's going to be your TV. And that, as soon as that happened and PlayStation was like, we're about gamers, that's when the switch got thrown. That's when Xbox started playing catch up. And even Phil coming in, right, and saying, I'm here, we're going to talk about games. It makes sense. And one of the people who wrote into Games Daily in the last 2 weeks brought up the fact of like, it sucks the Scalebound's canceled. It sucks they cancel the Fable game. It sucks that all this stuff happens. But those are still decisions that need to be made. If you're Phil, right, you come in, these aren't the games we want, these aren't the right things. They're tough decisions. They look bad optically, be like, we cancel games, we got no first parties. But would you rather than put out shitty first party games? And it's like, that's a great point. And it is still that these things have been in production since the Magic era or around that time, where you take a chance, and it's like, you need to be able to do it. But then it looks like what you're talking about, where you can sputter and spin your wheels in the beginning, but then Sony clicked into gear, right? And they were like,
time.
And I'm talking about exclusives, Bloodborne, but then first party, it's like, okay, here's Uncharted here, and then we start seeing the stuff of Spider-Man and God of War, and then suddenly you look out and it's like, not only does 2018 look good on the first few titles you know about that, you start looking further ahead of that. Then you have Kojima and you have these other games that we don't have dates for, and you can see that there's a plan that's already announced and groundwork that's already laid. Whereas with Xbox, they're still trying to get the foundation down to build the house.
And
It feels
the
like
third party partnerships as well that you're talking about, because we're talking Destiny, we're talking Star Wars Battlefront, we're talking Battlefield, we're talking Call of Duty. It's like Assassin's Creed is the only one that I think is more aligned with Xbox, right?
I don't remember.
There's a couple. Shadow of War is they got a bundle, and they got. But you're even talking. You're talking marketing. I mean, I was just going to add the first party portfolio comparison is one thing, but where I think the nail is really being driven into the coffin a little bit is on the third party exclusives. When Sony's signing up all these great Japanese developed games, and in most cases, Neo and what was the other one from
Nier
Thank you, Nier. Yeah, and then even smaller stuff like Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac, super recently. These games that are just not shipping on Xbox for whatever reason. We don't know the reason. Persona.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was actually the one I was searching for. It's like that's where it starts to go from like, oh, okay, well, to like, oh man, look at all these. It's just like game after game after game that's just not coming to your Xbox, and that gets frustrating if you've invested $500 into an Xbox. Like, where are all these great games? Why are we not getting this stuff? And Microsoft, they had that in the original Xbox days, in the 360 days. Ninja Gaiden, I think the greatest action game of all time, into the 360 era with
Gears.
With the Sakaguchi, Mizuguchi, sorry.
For Rez?
No. What the Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon? Why am I blanking on his name? I feel horrible now.
No.
Live on the air, just looking like a fool here.
No, I'll look it up for you. I know exactly. I'm right there with
Walker
you.
and I just can't think of the developer's name. Thank God Kevin's going to bail me out, and/or Greg at the same time. Anyway, you had stuff like, and then any of other things like Tales of Vesperia was a 360 exclusive. Eternal Sonata.
Yeah.
You had this stuff, and it didn't do well in Japan because the Xbox still doesn't and has never done well in Japan.
Lost Odyssey, right?
Who's studio? It's Sakaguchi. That's the first one I said, right?
Yeah, that was what you said.
Thank
You
God.
still got it.
Save face.
I can't imagine. After 15 years, after 10, I'm like, I talked to these people in 2008. I don't remember.
And then on top of that, right from the go this generation, you've had Sony aggressively chasing all these indie developers from, even Tim Schafer, Broken Age, and Day of the Tentacle, and Grim Fandango. These are games that are, no offense, I love Tim to death, but these are not games that people are necessarily running out to buy PS4s for.
Sure.
But when you're bringing in enough of those, and you're just saying to every developer, yeah, come on, get your game on PlayStation, you suddenly, like, I did an exercise once, and you can go do it right now. If you look, I think it's on Wikipedia. It's like the list of how many. If you compare the size of the libraries, the number of PlayStation 4 games to the number of Xbox One games, not saying, it's not like they have 500 more amazing games, but they have like 500 more games or however many. It's a lot of games, and it's over time, it just adds up. And I think you're just seeing kind of the unfortunate convergence of Microsoft's first party situation is like the boiling point for a lot of fans, because I'm sure they weren't. I doubt Phil was counting on Crackdown to be delayed. Like if they'd have still had Crackdown this holiday, I think that probably would have gone a long way towards. We're on
the right course. We're making the decisions you want.
I mean, the Fable thing. I was very critical of that from the beginning. The direction that they took. That they oriented the whole studio towards it needs to be a game as a service. Like, no, Fable's awesome.
Just
of
make another
what
Fable.
Fable
Yeah.
is. But you're gonna have mistakes and missteps. But the delays compounded with the tough decisions. I'm sure Phil and Microsoft, like, they're not. I can't imagine they're surprised by the chatter online and with the fans right now. Like, I'm sure they knew, like, okay, we're gonna have to take our lumps. This is gonna be pretty bad. And I'm sure they have a much more improved 2018 coming up. But to your point, Greg, what's past that? Because I think fans, the hardcore fans that Microsoft so wonderfully won over with the 360, that are now on all those hardcore guys are mostly Sony guys now. They're getting tired of that 3 franchise pillar, the Halo, Forza, Gears. Not that those are bad games at all, but new stuff goes a long way. When Sony ships The Order and it's mediocre, I won't call it a bad game. I finished it and I love the story. I love the characters. There was a lot to like about that game, but that game kind of stumbles. It's like a 6, right? Something like that. Sony can totally absorb that because they've got 9 other first-party games, and you've got Horizon that comes out and it's a 9.5, and you've got Uncharted Lost Legacy, super solid, and Last of Us 2 in the pipe. But effectively, they have a margin for error. Microsoft has no margin for error. So when Crackdown is pushed, and Scalebound's canceled, and Fable Legends is almost to release, and then they go, let's cancel this. They can't say, well, we've got 17 other games coming. Don't worry about it, fans. There's no margin for error, and it's tough for them.
Jumping off that, Marius Peterson says, do you think the Xbox exclusives we've seen so far were planned when Don Matrick was in charge, and the Phil Spencer ones are just not ready yet?
Well, they're all Phil Spencer ones, because Phil, before he took the job as head of Xbox, was running Microsoft Game Studios. He was the first-party guy. So I think it's a bit of a moot question, honestly.
They're all attached to him
all
somewhere.
Phil. It's all Phil. Whether now, of course, we don't know. Maybe Phil was trying to sign stuff, and maybe Matrick was saying, nah, and so stick to this little budget. Screw you. We need to tighten our belts here. I don't know that. So, but this stuff all gets laid out years in advance. The question now is, where are the first-party studios that aren't the Gears Factory, Halo Factory, and Forza Factory? Sure. And what will they make? So that's where my editorial kind of came from. Like, of course, the NeoGAF thread was a shit show. People were like, oh, this list is stupid. Well, I said that at the bottom. I was like, this is a dumb exercise. But my thinking behind that was, in a semi-realistic world, who could I go to as the head of Xbox to say, what can I do to get a new Splinter Cell game that's maybe a timed exclusive on our console spun up? What can I do to what IP am I sitting on? Like, holy shit, I got Mech Warrior back here. I've got Crimson Skies. People love that. Let me find a studio to spin this stuff up. Sure. That's where I was coming from.
It's the thing about it, and this is what I've been talking about on all the shows in the past 2 weeks when this comes up, is the fact that I wonder openly on these shows, like, the fact that there's not more first-party stuff revealed that's awesome as this, and is it that they've not conceded the ground, but like, this is who we are this generation. So let's worry about what happens with Xbox 2. Let's get all those games to go, so that when we come out and announce that, you can say, here's your launch lineup and here's the first year, and you can see these 10, similar to Switch, right? Of like, hey, we're launching with Zelda, then you're going to get Splatoon 2, then you're going to get Mario, and you have these tent poles to go around. But it's also the fact that Xbox One right now, and it's always funny how this happens because it's the same time as a flat circle, reminds me so much of PS3. Because, like, with your career being Xbox, my career's been PlayStation. Yep. And when we were PS3 and PlayStation 3 and Sony are just taking it on the chin over and over again, that's what made Beyond, is that we were the hardcore, downtrodden, all the ports suck here, but we like it because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And Xbox One, now granted, is doing so much better than the PlayStation 3 is doing so well, period. But what I love about Phil is that he's all about games and that he talks about this and he's open about it. But I love all the quality of life stuff that happens, where it is, Backwards compatibility is awesome. The games Games Pass is awesome.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about it till the guy who wrote in today on Kind of Funny Games Daily, the Thursday episode for you watching later, was talking about the design labs for the controllers is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
There's so much cool
The
shit
Elite
there.
controller, yeah.
Exactly.
Elite,
Exactly.
They're doing a thing that I was talking about this on Unlock the other day, that they won't get any credit for this, but they unveiled at their Gamescom thing a data transfer feature where it's like if you're getting a second Xbox in your house, in this case the inference being an X, that you don't have to download everything again and crush your bandwidth cap or wait longer. Like use your home network and just move all your stuff, copy all your stuff from your Xbox that you have now over to the X. It's like that's just such a little relatively small scale user quality, quality of life feature that they won't get any credit for, but that's awesome.
And they
can,
I was talking about it with Andrea a couple shows ago about how I saw, my Xbox One's my exclusive machine, so it doesn't get turned on all that often. But when I turned it on for Tacoma, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I hate this interface and blah. And then like the next day, they're like, here's what the new interface looks like. We are working on it. We're on, like, they have so much goodwill for their fans. And I feel like from everybody at large that everybody wants them to succeed and come out and be like, this is what it is. And I wonder if it's going to be a PS3 situation. Again, is it going to be an Xbox 2 thing where it's like, hey, here, everything you loved about that you've loved or seen that people love about Xbox One is there at Xbox 2, but here are these games to make you do it. Here are the partnerships. Here is our exclusive Marvel game that somebody there I fucking hope is doing. You know what I mean? And even if it was that Avengers one from Crystal that no one's ever really, I don't think confirmed.
that would be huge. Yeah. It's funny though, because it's not a Wii U situation.
Oh, no.
Like it's not like the Xbox One is doing great. And again, it goes back to it. Like number 2 is still above a lot of other people, and they're doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And but with the Switch, like I don't think that the Xbox 2 theory is.
I don't think so either, because I think they understand that like we need to get games out, and we need to have cool shit, and we need to have great announcements, and I think they are constantly always moving towards that. I don't think that's really what's happening, but it's an interesting thing to tinker.
32-bit player says, what are the key reasons why gamers would be attracted to the Xbox platform? As a Nintendo and Sony guy all my life, I'm curious.
I mean, I think they've really added a lot of great stuff to Xbox Live as far as playing online with your friends. They have the clubs thing where you can get a big group of, like, say, all my old high school buddies. Let's form a club on Xbox. They have and then if you're playing a game, like Sea of Thieves or something, then you can, one of your buddies can just jump right in. One of, like, if there's 100 people in the group and like, oh, we've got 3 in here, we just need one more. Like, oh, somebody from our club will hop in. So they've done stuff like that. There's a lot of great online features that unfortunately they've had to fix what hadn't been broken. Like, they fucked it up real bad at the start of the generation. Like, the whole online interface, party chat was broken and all this stuff. But they've now fixed all that. Everything was slow because it was like pinging a server to do everything. And they've, as you said, Greg, they've redone the OS a couple of times.
Yeah.
They brought the guide button functionality back from 360, which should have never gone away in the first place. So it really is it's a pretty user-friendly experience, particularly online. So there's a lot to like there, I think.
I'm desperately trying to pull up the question here, because the guy who wrote in today answers that question. Where he wrote in under the username another Xbox, not apologist, but like fan or something. What did he say? Yes, another Xbox advocate. And so he was saying here, everything I talked about in terms of what they're doing. In closing, if a friend said they wanted to join the current console generation, they could only buy one console, my first response to them would be to check out the Sony exclusives first, past, current, and future. If those excite you, purchase a PS4. If you're more interested in playing third-party games or have the means of owning both systems, my recommendation would buy an Xbox One or S or X for the majority of your gaming. There are some big advantages to using the Xbox as the primary system and PS4 as an exclusives machine that many people are missing out on. Because he's talking about the fact that, like, Xbox has been all about the games, right? So he's talking about, well, the graphical enhancements may be a game changer for everyone. If Microsoft wants to stand behind their statement that this is the best platform to play games on, they also need to have the hardware option to play the best things and go that way.
Yeah. I mean, that checks out for me entirely. Like, and I was making this argument on Games Daily, but the Xbox One X, I think, is just horribly misunderstood. And I think that people are making a bigger deal out of it for headlines and just for the conversation. I don't think that it needs a launch game. I don't think that it not having Crackdown this holiday season is going to affect it at all. It's going to sell, like, there's a question in here. Oh, sorry. Let me find it real quick.
Well, I mean, it's already selling so well.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah,
pre-orders,
pre-orders
right?
are just about gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Hamza A says, is the price of the Xbox One X justified by the fact that it has impressive internals, or would you rather they made it less powerful and cheap? Xbox One X pre-orders went quick, and with 100 plus supported games, do you think its launch will be more successful than the Pro? There's a lot going in there. One, I don't think the price is wrong at all. It's totally justified. This thing is a beast of a machine. Two, no, it shouldn't be less powerful and more cheap. The point of this is it being a premium device for people who want the premium experience. And will it be more successful than Pro? No, it's going to be as successful as the Pro. That there's a group of people that are interested in these types of machines, and I think that both Microsoft and Sony understand what that marketplace is, and that's just an easy sell to them, and they can just talk about how pretty their games look, and that's all that the mainstream audience needs to know.
Yeah, I think if anything else, if nothing else, the X exists to change the narrative on Xbox One from maybe you've heard from your friend from, when the systems first launched 4 years ago, like, oh, the Xbox, that one's not as powerful, right? Like, no, the X is there to
The most
flip the
powerful
script on
console
that.
ever.
Because that is the line they've been beating you over the head with to death, and it's true. My thing from the get-go has been, which I've caught a ton of shit for, is it $500? Like, so yeah, it's $500. That's a lot of money. That's the same price as the Xbox One when it originally launched with the Kinect. I'm not debating that the thing's not powerful. It's obviously powerful. The question is, for me, is it worth the extra $100 over buying a PS4 Pro? If I'm in the market for the step-up console, am I going to get my extra $100 worth? And I had wondered, well, are PS4s the market leader by a definitive long shot? Will third parties go the extra mile to take advantage of that extra $100 worth of power? Because if they don't, and there's a business case to be made that they would, why would they? You've got 60 million plus people on
PlayStation
PS4 and that in that ecosystem versus, whatever it is, 30 or 40 something on Xbox One. Are you basically just buying, or what you're effectively going to get when it comes down to the games is a PS4 Pro for $100 more? And what I have learned since, and what there's more and more evidence coming out now, is that no, the X is actually so smartly designed by Microsoft that even if a developer doesn't uniquely code anything, the box actually will automatically be bumping things up and doing a lot of the work on its own to push it past PS4 Pro levels.
That's very interesting.
And so if that bears out, which again, there's been, particularly with Gamescom happening, they were showing a lot of Xbox One X stuff, both first party and third party. If that proves to be the case, then I will kind of rest my case. And it's not that I'm not against the Xbox One X. It's just like $500 is a lot of money. Am I going to get that $500 worth? And it's looking more and more like the answer is yes, and that's great if that is what proves to be true.
Have you had your hands on one yet?
I've played it, a couple times. Played Assassin's Creed Origins on there,
E3,
which was
right? That's
fantastic. I played Super Lucky's Tale, of all things, on it at E3, which was it was a really rough build at E3, and it looks like from watching Gamescom footage, it's totally cleaned up, which I knew it obviously would. But you haven't played too much on it yet. I'm still not buying one. I don't have a PS4 Pro either. I have vanilla PS4, vanilla Xbox One, only because for me, if I'm going to do it in either way, I want the 4K TV to go with it. I don't have a 4K TV yet. They're getting cheaper. There's this TCL P series that's $600, but it's still, when you throw tax in on both, so you're talking $650 for the TV. You're talking $550 for an Xbox One with tax. So, it's
an
not,
investment.
It's not an insignificant amount of money and I know it's like, yes, the X does have benefits, down sample, super sampled image, but I'm not paying $500 unless I'm getting the full 4K benefit. So,
and that's been me from the beginning with like PlayStation 4 last year, PS4 Pro last year, where I was just like, I'm not getting this. Like, if you want it, go get it. I can't. When I have two PS4s at home that both work great and the games look great, and I don't have a 4K TV, and I'm also not a graphics whore like that. I'm just like, Not that that sounds like I'm insulting you. I'm a trophy horse or whatever. I'm just saying I don't care about graphics on that level where I'm like, I'm going to go to bat and spend all this money for it.
I am, and I do, and I bought
you did.
OLED TV, and I got a PlayStation 4 Pro for all these reasons, and it is stunning. It is
absolutely.
beautiful.
Horizon's
the HDR
amazing.
is it's unbelievable to look at. Having said all that, playing Horizon in 1080p on a PlayStation 4 is just as stunning and amazing. And I love the PlayStation 4 Pro, and I do stand by it. And I think that it's it's perfect for the people that want it. It is not necessary at all. It is a minor bump up in the grand scheme of things because of the level of graphics that we already have. Like, it's not what I remember even going from 480 to 720. It's not even from 720 to 1080. Like, I feel like looking at these games, as beautiful as they are, in my experience at least, I would be fine playing Horizon on my old TV instead of my new one. However, playing it on my new one, I'm just like, it's stupid how good it looks. And it's like, that is just that little extra, it's kind of the all caps version of a sentence where it's just like, it's still the same thing. It's just a lot more of it.
And then your favorite game you're playing right now is fucking on a tiny little screen, and it
Sonic
looks like
Mania?
it's 16-bit.
I'll have you know, I first beat Sonic Mania on my PlayStation 4 Pro.
My apologies. How much better did it look than your Switch?
Not at all.
Yeah.
None.
I mean, I'm really going to be curious. You know, Microsoft has been cool about they're doing 4K updates for Forza Horizon 3, for Halo 5, for Gears 4. Those are going to look great, no doubt. I can't wait to see the next wave that are built for it. And I'm like, Halo 6 should hopefully look amazing. Gears 5 further down the road probably, but I tell you, the game that I actually really can't wait to see on an Xbox One X on a kick-ass 4K TV,
State of Decay 2.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh my God, Ori. No, you're
looks
right.
Like, that might be the one to break me if I haven't already picked up the TV and I mean, that game.
Stunning, yeah.
I mean, on the PlayStation 4 Pro side, like playing Uncharted Lost Legacy, this is my first Uncharted game with the Pro, obviously. But Uncharted 4, beautiful. This game, I don't know, but I would imagine there was too much more in lighting and all the differences to make it look better than Uncharted 4. On the PS4 Pro and in OLED, it's stunning. Yeah. There was so many times, and I do this in any Uncharted game, but there's so many times I would just stop and just turn the camera around just to see everything. It was like, wow, I can't believe video games look this good.
Yeah.
Style 65 says, will we see any Xbox One X only games? And if so, how soon?
Eventually, we have to. I mean, Sony has, I think they did publicly say, like, we're going to do a new generation, right? Or is that just a thing we're all still assuming?
I think we're all assuming. I don't think they said that.
Because I mean, Microsoft they're the ones that said, we want to get rid of generations. Eventually, you were talking about it earlier, Tim, with smartphones. Mm-hmm. There is a cutoff where eventually you're going to have apps that just can't run on older hardware. Yeah. So, for me, the sooner the better, because the X clearly has a ton of power in it, and the sooner that games can stop having to be coded for the 1.8 teraflop Xbox One and can be coded for the 6 teraflop Xbox One X, the better looking and more incredible experiences we're going to get. I'm sure it's going to be. I really think Microsoft's trying to condition us to think smartphone and think shorter upgrade cycle. So I bet you within 2 years we'll have our first announced Xbox One X required game.
Have they said that they're going to, because I mean, PlayStation's whole thing's been there won't ever be a PlayStation 4 Pro only game. That it'll always be back and forth.
And that's what Microsoft has said too. Okay. But if
Microsoft said it in a much more
correct way,
where they do their whole, what do they call
beyond
it?
generations.
Yeah, beyond generations. Everything's playable on all the things.
But if you gotta cut it off at some point. And you got to move to the future.
But do you truly believe that? I know that's their intention, and I know that is the ideal world of we don't need generations. It is just smartphone-esque updates where there's the cutoff. Or do you think that the Xbox One X is just like a PlayStation 4 Pro, and there will just be a next generation Xbox that gets rid of this whole thing? Because I think that's what's going to happen.
That's hard to say. I mean, I could see maybe it won't happen until whatever the next upgrade after X is, and then we'll be like, okay, well the new floor here is the X.
Yeah,
like we're So we'll be slowly phasing out the Xbox One S. But I think it's just if whether they're going to have a new generation or not, they got to wipe it clean. And we got to take them at their word for now that the generations are gone, so there won't be an Xbox 4. Therefore, we're just going to have to. It'll just be the iterative thing. So they're just going to have to. I think they'll hear it from devs. It'll be eventually the developers are going to be like,
I can't
Microsoft,
make you.
We can't. Yeah, I can't
make this game on PC, port it to Xbox One X, and have it run on Xbox One.
It would probably even be first party developers. It'd be like 343 in the coalition and Turn 10 coming to them and be going like, look, we really want to push this, but there's only so much we can do when we've got to hang back on the old hardware, and that's what's going to push it forward. I think. I
know they're saying beyond generations. I think there still has to be. This is the next Xbox. Period. This is where we go.
I really think that that sounds ideal to move there. I don't think until PlayStation and Microsoft are ready to make that commitment on this is the model for game consoles from here on out. I just don't think that it can work.
Well, it also presents a huge marketing challenge for Microsoft. If Sony comes out in 2 years and says, or maybe 3 tops, and says, PlayStation 5, here we go, guys. That's, again, you go right to the mind share of your average video game buyer who's buying Madden and GTA and their handful of games a year. All those same people that were won over by PS4 this generation, like, what is Microsoft going to say? Our thing is, it still works with all the old stuff. Like, the messaging on that's going to be really hard if they're truly committed to ditching generations. Then it's going to be a tough sell for them trying to convince people, no matter how powerful their hardware is, that it's like, no, it's not a generational thing, but it's still more powerful, and you should totally buy it. Like that will be a difficult challenge, not 100%. Impossible, but difficult.
Jack Martin says, with PlayStation holding the lead this generation, what can Xbox do to reclaim the top spot next generation? PS Unlocked is fantastic.
Thank you. I like this guy. I mean, it really, I think everything we've been talking about with the X sort of trying to flip the script on the whole, on any narrative of, the Xbox is underpowered compared to the PlayStation. You've got the X. You've got this new operating system. It's quick. It's more versatile. You've got all these friendly user features coming in, like clubs and groups that we were talking about. So they've laid a lot of the building blocks. If they can get the games, the exclusive games coming, first party, third party, whatever, then they've got as good a chance as anything, because you could say we saw, Sony's got an insurmountable lead. Well, yeah, this generation, absolutely, but look at last generation. The 360 was the king, and look what happened this generation. And it went back. The PS2 was God among consoles. Microsoft comes in. We got our Xbox 360, and they got so many developers on board, and they had so many great online user features.
It's like the Matrix. Every time who's on top gets humbled. Man. Yeah, you get humbled, and you come back hungry, and you come back fierce.
I mean, look at the Wii U. Was a goddamn disaster.
Yeah.
I was never even tempted once to buy a Wii U, and I'm a day one Switch buyer, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes maybe you don't need the humble pie, but it works.
You get knocked down and you make all these choices that actually make sense. And that's what's already interesting watching PlayStation this generation seemingly go from we're on the ground with you, it's Shu and Adam with a funny video, to then their E3 is nobody on stage, just games, just AAA games, and then it's that weird thing of like, I'm getting scared. Are you the PlayStation of old coming back, where now you think you're too big to fail and you can do anything? And then like, what does that mean for VR and all these things you adopted? And are those things dead to you now? Who knows?
Hoy Jake says, when is Microsoft going to let studios take a break from major worn-out franchises like Halo, Gears, and try new IP like Sony, Horizon, and The Last of Us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. Those franchises continue to make Microsoft money, but franchise fatigue is real. Look at Assassin's Creed. It kind of started to peter out. They took a year off. Now they've come back, and we're actually doing a month of exclusive coverage on IGN right now with IGN First. And we had done an IGN First on Syndicate 2 years ago, and our numbers are like double what they for this IGN first so far. It's not even over yet of what they were for our IGN first with Syndicate 2 years ago. I know that's like not concrete evidence of any sort, but it's an indication for us. And so, yeah, you look if Sony had a policy, had sort of set their studios up the way Microsoft has, we never would have got Horizon. We might not have got some of the, The Last of Us. We might not have gotten that. So it sure would be nice if Microsoft would let their developers play around in ideally a new universe. But then again, every developer that signs on the dotted line to go work at the Coalition or they know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing for them it's a tough job to try and keep it fresh and awesome every single time. I mean, if that's going to be their strategy, they've got to have either second-party stuff or third-party stuff, or start sprouting other first-party studios to generate new IP. Like you can't. We're seeing what happens when some of the other things fall apart and they've just got the pillars. And people are kind of like, oh, what else do you have?
Yeah.
And that for me as an outsider to it, but somebody who just loves games and loves exclusives and loves people. For me, it's always the argument of like Naughty Dog games get to be so incredible because they only have to work at one platform and they only get to make it for it and they know exactly what they're making for and it's great. I'd love to see Microsoft invest again in first party studios and have all these different ones that are making, because I feel like when you think about the pillars being there, if they're surrounded by little sprouts and all this different stuff, it doesn't seem as barren. It doesn't seem like, oh my God, another Halo. But when it just is Halo, Gears, Forza, that's all you get, and that's all they can hang their hat on. It gets rough.
That's what we were talking about earlier, where it's like the order stumbles, but you've got these other games all coming from first party, and you don't even sweat it if you're a fan.
With Naughty Dog, do you know off the top of your head which of the PS3 Naughty Dog games sold the most?
I don't. Do you know?
Like, I do know. But guess. Which one would you think it was?
Uncharted 2.
We're talking about, I'm sorry, so you said PS3 games?
Mm-hmm. So Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and Last of Us.
I'll bet it's Uncharted 3 because there was just more, the install base was higher, and Last of Us was so right at the end. I know it sold very well. I would go Uncharted 3.
I would jump to Uncharted 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Last of Us.
It was Last of Us.
Nice.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was Last of Us.
That doesn't include PS4 numbers that we're just talking about PS3?
Yeah, no, I looked up best-selling PS3 games because I was interested going into this from that question where I was like, I mean, did it pay off for them? Like, I know The Last of Us did well, but it's like, why wouldn't they just be an Uncharted machine? I was like, well, they're doing Last of Us Part 2. So then I looked up and I found that shocking, but it's like, that is also a good thing for this kind of idea. And then seeing Horizon, like, I don't know where Horizon compares to Killzone, but I'd be willing to bet it's much higher.
Well, it
has a future, which Killzone had sputtered out.
It hung on too long. That was always the thing for the longest time with PlayStation that I found refreshing, was the fact their first parties tilled the land and replanted with something else. And you want to talk about just Naughty Dog, I mean, from Crash to Jack to Uncharted to Last of Us. And for a while there was like nice cutoffs in terms of generations. But then like now it's a little bit more bleed, but it doesn't matter because, all right, cool, go in and reinvest and do something different. And that's why like it's the end of Nathan Drake's story and they do Lost Legacy and people are like, well, maybe there could be. I'm fine with you doing more Uncharted, don't get me wrong, but let's let that rest. Let's have Last of Us now be your pillar of that and go do another new idea and come back to it at PS5, at something else.
That's why I love...
Let people miss it.
I adore Sony for Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
Like fun, like
sure.
You give this auteur like 3 to 5 years to just go dream up whatever interactive story he wants to make.
Dreams.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's awesome of them. I'm not sure what other publishers would do that.
And that's why it's so interesting with Quantic, right? That they're not first party, they're second party.
Yeah.
They do all these things, but they have this relationship with Sony of like, all right, cool, here's this money, go make something cool.
And it's
all
like,
right, we'll be back.
Yeah, and Beyond Two Souls was not great, but it's like now I'm crazy excited for Detroit. It's
Detroit
actually
looks amazing.
It's probably my most personally anticipated PS4 game right now. Yeah. Like I've loved it the last 2 E3s I've played it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Chuck Sips says, any chance of a Quantum Break sequel? And if not, will the next Remedy game be Xbox exclusive?
No and no, unfortunately.
Did you like Quantum Break?
I liked it a lot.
I dug Quantum Break so much. I had such a great time with that game.
I think it was... So, Remedy is a studio that... I was very sad to see their second-party affiliation with Microsoft end. Their entire track record was great games. I mean, it wasn't many games. They took a long time, but their stuff was great. Not just good, great. And I think Quantum Break was very good. It wasn't great, but it was very good. It was like it was just the least awesome of the Remedy games. But I so appreciated like I was just saying with Quantic Dream, I so appreciated the whole, like, let them try something new with this whole blending in live action TV episodes that react to what you're doing in the game. And I actually loved it. I loved playing for like whatever it was, half an hour, and then sitting back and watching a 20-minute TV episode. I love that. The last boss fucking sucked in that game. It's just a terribly overwrought, poorly designed encounter. That
was its little finger like floating with all the stuff, and you're running around.
It was that was just terrible. And I was surprised because I was like, Remedy's better than this. What is this? But really like the game. But the problem is, they really, right after that game shipped, they came out and said, we're moving on. We're splitting into 2 teams. We're going to go multi-platform. Our next game is P7, codename for Project 7 of theirs. So no, it does not appear that they will be an exclusive, but you guys, Remedy will be shipping their first PS4 game, or let's call it PlayStation game, because God only knows when it'll come out.
How long it'll take.
But that partnership seems to have ended for now. And I'm not saying like Microsoft's horrible for doing that, because for all I know, it was Remedy that said, hey, this has been great, but we're a small studio, we'd like to explore, the bigger market, so don't blame anybody or don't look at it, but it's just, that's the reality, is they're going to be multi-platform now.
Luke Strain says, on IGN, you brought up how many old IPs Microsoft should bring back. Shouldn't they focus on starting new IPs instead?
That's an excellent question. I would argue that those old IPs are new IPs at this point. They're things people love that have not been explored in years, whether it's MechWarrior or Mech Assault, and it was the specific one I referenced, because actually MechWarrior 5 is being made for PC, but anyway, MechWarrior or Crimson Skies, or I've called out want to see Fable come back in the proper Fable way.
Fable, yeah.
So yeah, new IPs are great. I'm all for them, but Microsoft is sitting on a handful of really, really good properties that they've just done nothing with for a long, long time. So,
and having a little bit of name recognition like that, like to have a Crimson Skies come out but not be what you've known before, but also be a name you recognize, helps it, right? Sunset Overdrive comes out and is fun and cool and beautiful and different and new, and there's not an install base yet, and it kind of goes nowhere.
I voted for that game for IGN's Game of the Year in 2014. Very sad it didn't win. That game's awesome. If you maybe are just picking up an Xbox One, or you're gonna grab one this holiday, whether it's the X, or you're just gonna grab inevitably there'll be like a $200 Xbox One S bundle. Do yourself a favor, especially most of your audience are Sony fans. They're PlayStation people. It's Insomniac. Sunset Overdrive, so good. Yeah. It's one of the best games on the Xbox, period.
Alexander Gates says, hell yeah, you're awesome, Ryan. Do you think there's even the slightest chance we'll get a Sunset Overdrive 2?
No. That ship sailed. I mean, because from all accounts, I'm sure the whole studio is oriented on the Spider-Man right now. I don't know that for a fact, but I would imagine with first-party money, first-party backing, it's clearly a big budget game. My hunch, my gut would tell me that there is a Spider-Man 2 already in pre-production, or will be very soon, so that if this thing takes off, because obviously Spider-Man is finding new life on the big screen now after, now that it's part of the MCU. And if this game does well and is good and sells well, I've got to figure Insomniac and Sony are going to partner up for at least one more sequel on the game side.
Agreed. Yeah.
Arajoy says, what's the viability of an Xbox One portable console? The Nintendo Switch is a hit but lacks the third-party support, and Microsoft has the opportunity to come back big by releasing a handheld capable of running the same Xbox One software as the S and X. Lacking new, getaway, innovative IP success this generation, Microsoft is in a hard place. Microsoft has the best platform features among the competition, and with Xbox Play Anywhere, why don't they try some unique hardware where Sony is not competing?
If that ship sailed a long, long time ago, not only, they're Sony failed with the PSP and then the Vita. I know you can argue if it's a failure or not, but
I mean, it's
gone today. Let's put it that way.
It's similar to what we're arguing
Yeah.
about. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Don't worry.
So
Not gonna-
you're fighting Nintendo, and more to the point, now you're fighting smartphones. Why? That is a battle you almost certainly cannot win, even with Microsoft's resources. So no, I think the X-Boy ship sailed a long, long time ago.
And then final question for you comes from Chris Brown.
All right.
Hopefully not
Like the
Chris
singer?
Brown.
this
Having
poor
worked-
guy, every time his name comes up on Kind of Funny Games Daily, the other host makes this joke
I'm
too.
so sorry.
Like,
So
it's
sorry.
ruined.
Having worked at one of the industry's biggest magazines, followed by IGN, what was the biggest difference between the two?
Oh, magazine and website. Oh man, it's night and day. I mean, we were just putting a product out into the world, and then there was no instant feedback to what we would do, which was kind of nice, honestly. Like, I guess the biggest difference is probably that it was just even though we were reaching at our peak, OXM was, I think, 425,000 subscribers, which may seem, I guess, people probably think, oh, that's nothing, because like big websites get millions of hits a day, but
Those are people paying.
yeah, paying customers. And I guess the biggest difference is it was a smaller world back then in kind of every sense. Like it was me and the OXM team, which it was 7 of us. So it was basically just 7 of us every month making a thing and putting it out there on the 4th week, working hard at the end of that 4 weeks, the crunch week especially. And we were covering one platform. Like now at IGN, like, yeah, I host our Xbox show and I kind of lead the way on Xbox stuff, but I'm covering other things. I'm worrying about, are we getting that Mario Odyssey preview? Are we getting that Uncharted Lost Legacy coverage we need? So, I've got my eye on everything now instead of just one platform. And part of me misses, I mean, there's so many games now on even any one platform that covering everything would be almost impossible. Like there's probably anywhere from 6 to 12 ID at Xbox games that get released every single week on Xbox. And it's like almost a running gag on Unlocked where we read them and we're like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
But I kind of there's definitely a part of me that misses the days when I just focused on Xbox and we took pride in covering everything, every little game, big or small. So it's like, that's why I have 15 years of just this treasure trove of Xbox knowledge in my head, which is awesome. And I kind of miss those days where now I'm, it's great that I get paid I can go play Mario as part of my job, and that's amazing. But there was the simpler time of like just all Xbox all day.
Yeah, and you knew everything. I mean, I
was
remember
super
when we were doing the PlayStation team at IGN, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I remember when we started Beyond, you go in there, me, Roper, Dunham, and Jeff, and Clements in those early days, everyone knew every game, and we knew all about it, and we had all played it, and let's have a conversation. And now it is, the same thing. Kind of Funny Games Daily. If you read the PS Store update, and it's the fucking 15 games that have gone up on PSN. I'm like, this name sucks. I don't even know what this game is. All these different things. It's just too much happening.
Yeah,
now.
the world's a bigger place, which is both good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Like it's cool that I get the instant feedback, and being the Xbox guy at IGN has afforded me a relatively large social media following. But then the bad, of course, too, is again, not only can I not focus on just one thing, but I get most people that tweet me and things are super nice, but
You Xbox, you fanboy.
That's the sad part of human nature is you get that one shitty tweet from that one person, and it just sticks in your craw all day, and the other 50 nice things just are gone. It's like, oh man. So there was social media is a blessing and a curse. So there was back in the OXM days when none of that existed, there was something a little nice about that too.
Well, Ryan, thank you for joining us. This has been fantastic.
Can I plug a couple things?
Plug
before I go?
everything.
Plug everything.
Yeah, so that's what guests get to do. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So the thing I'm most proud of at IGN that I would love for people to check out, and this applies whether you're a PlayStation fan, any fan of any platform. I do a long form interview show once a month,
And it's
called
awesome.
IGN Unfiltered, and it's super inside baseball. It's basically I've had Cliff Bleszinski on there. I've had Jack Trenton on there. I've had, I guess, 20 20-something people on there at this point, and it's between usually an hour and a half conversation, and it's just like a Charlie Rose type thing where it's let's start at the beginning. How'd you get into games? And it's just a walk through their whole career. Because for me, I find the people behind the games to be often as interesting or more interesting than the games themselves, or even just hearing crazy stories of how some of like behind the scenes thing that happened in the making of some legendary game. So that comes out once a month. I've got the August issue or August episode. You got me on magazine thoughts now. The August episode coming right in under the wire of August. It's going to be next week. It's a person you all know and you'll all want to hear from. So do check that. It's on. You can grab it on iTunes or on YouTube as well. Super proud of that. And then
is it on youtube.com/IGN?
It's if you just search for type in IGN Unlocked. That's probably the best way to find it. And
Unfiltered.
then
IGN Unfiltered, right?
God,
Yeah.
Been talking for a long time. Yes,
And also check out IGN Unlocked.
that one has its own YouTube channel. Is youtube.com/IGN Unlocked. But then the other thing, my insane little side project. I've always been a car guy. I had a DeLorean for many years. I don't anymore, but now Tesla is my new obsession. They are doing crazy, incredible things at 50 minutes from here, and I love them. And I decided my wife got sick of hearing me talk about it all the time around the house, so I said, you know what? I can channel this into a podcast. So I started a Tesla podcast 2 years ago called Ride the Lightning, the Tesla Unofficial Podcast, and it has strangely found quite its own little community. And I'm on Patreon. I'm not asking anybody for money, but I would love for you to check it out. Maybe you'll get hooked on it and eventually want to support me on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, there's links to everything you need right there. So if you're interested in cars and specifically Teslas,
Every time I see Tesla, I think you. Every time I
That's
see Elon Musk, I see a
marketing.
story.
you must think of me all the time.
I do because it's everywhere
around
It's
San
awesome.
Francisco. They're all
Yeah.
over the place.
Well, again, thank you for joining us.
Happy
This has
to
been
be
an
here.
Excellent show. Excellent. You see what I did there? I fucking love it. Hey, until next week. I love you. See you then.
You meant for Xbox. I get it.
Yeah. Hey, you can click right there to subscribe to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Click right there to subscribe to youtube.com/kindoffunny. Click right there to support us on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, or click right there for some mystery meat.